Sarah Meredith, the director of Starlight Speaking Limited. The purpose of this podcast is to inspire and motivate people to live their dreams. Welcome, Ashley. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
So tell me a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, so I am a single mom and I own a business, and my passion and my mission that I feel I'm on the earth for is helping other moms and women start businesses that align with their purpose and their calling.
And how many children do you have? I'm just nosy now.
just one. I have a 3-year-old.
Oh, bless. I got an 8-year-old, so I understand.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she's 3 going on 13.
I remember when my daughter was that age, she'd want to run off everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
You let her out the house and I was there, she was gone.
Yes, we definitely have some of those moments for sure.
Oh, bless them. So I saw with what you sent me that you one of the things you teach about is having a positive mindset when facing the unknown. How do you do that?
It's definitely something that you have to practice. It's not something that you can just let's say something happens, you lose your job. And it's something that you have to work on every single day, but the first step of that would be choosing a positive mindset. It seems kind of elementary or corny to say that, but when we have negative thoughts, we literally have to stop them in like their tracks and say, no, this is not the way I'm going to spend my day today, and change that mindset. Okay, well, what can I replace the thought with? So if we lose our job, for example, if we're thinking that we're not good enough or we're not worthy enough of the job that we had, how can we flip that? So what are you great at? What are you known for? What are you, and just repeating that to ourselves until it becomes our truth, and that's what we know ourselves for. Another way, so affirmations is a big way to do that. A lot of journaling. A lot of different podcasts that are inspiring, like this one, that can help us change our mindset. But it's also the people that we have around us. When I went through some of my big obstacles in my life, I learned that not everybody around me was positive. And so it hurts and it stinks, because sometimes we lose really good friends that we've had for a long time, or even family members, and we realize, oh my gosh, like their mindset is not where I want to be anymore, and I need to maybe limit that contact, or find someone who is super positive, who I look up to, who I admire how they think and how they live their life. So I think those are some tips to get started, but it's literally just the choice of, this is how I'm going to think today, and expecting good things and expecting a positive mindset will do wonders just at the beginning.
And how did you find friends that were positive? It seems like a needle in a haystack sometimes, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I lost my teaching position, and a lot of my friends were teachers, and when we're not around those people that we used to work with anymore, we're not friendly, like you lose contact or whatever. And then so online I found a couple of really great friends, like from Facebook groups, but honestly the best thing that I did was pay to be part of a mastermind. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy to pay to be with like just virtually with other people. But honestly, they're some of the best friendships I could have made. They're positive, they're like-minded women who want to do big things with their life, who are trying to build businesses or be public speakers, write books, change the world. And that was a huge turning point for me, of finding a group like that, like a positive tribe that's always going to have your back, and being like, hey, I'm having a bad day. maybe my mindset isn't as positive. So having those people that you can turn to is gold.
Yeah, and it's good because I think they rein you in, don't they, too? You know, whereas
Yeah.
some groups, if you went there ranting, they'd be like, carry on the rant. Whereas I think people that are positive tend to be, right, okay,
Yeah,
what are you going to do about it?
exactly. And that's like misery loves misery, right? So
Yeah.
like when we're talking about friendships, romantic relationships, all of those things, if we have a negative mindset, we're going to attract negative mindset people. If we have a positive mindset, we're going to attract that positive person. So yes, those problem solving individuals that we want in our life are so great because they're like, okay, great. Now what are you
going to do?
about? Yeah. You can have your pay party for like 5 minutes, but now we're going to put on your big girl pants and what are we going to do about it? So those are my favorite types of people, are the problem solvers, or okay, now what? What's our next best step?
Yeah, me too. I love those type of people. So how did you decide to become a coach?
So I think it's something that it's been inside of me my entire life. Is a teacher, coach. I was a teacher for 9 years. I taught everything from physical education to severe special needs, but I also was a basketball coach, a soccer coach. I coached all of these things. When I lost my teaching position, I started my business. And when I started my business, I started out as graphic designer, web designer, but I found that a lot of people were asking me, okay, now my website's done, now what? Now what do I do? Or how do I do this? Or how do I do that? So with the mix of everything that I self-taught myself, I'm able to now teach other people how to do it so that they can save some time, but then also skip some of the smaller steps. I don't think we can skip the big like evolving steps like when we're growing, but having a coach accelerates that, and having clarity in what we're going to do and what we're doing helps us with that so that we can become more successful faster or quicker. But I love teaching and I love helping people. Even if it was an athlete that I had who learned how to dribble a certain way or shoot a layup, to having one of my clients now, when a light bulb goes off and they're like, oh my gosh, I get it. Oh my gosh, like this is what I've been waiting for. This is everything I've ever wanted. Like I put in the hard work to make it happen. Really, I love seeing and being able to see the things in people and just helping it draw it out. Like you have everything that you need for your purpose and your calling inside of you already. Sometimes you just need someone to say, hey, this is for you and it's time to go get it. And having that, being that like professional encourager is what I like to call myself sometimes. And being that is amazing, because a lot of people, when we have big dreams and we don't have positive people around us, our dreams can get suffocated, and they're like, oh, it's never going to happen, or what have you. It's nice to have somebody who is always in your corner no matter what.
Yeah, I found that for myself with my dreams, and it's only you only recently realize that the people that are around you that see, sometimes they're very subtle with how they see it too. They won't out and out say you can't do that, but it's a bit like, oh well, if you left your job, would that be a good idea? Or so it's a lot more subtle than.
Yeah, and they project what their own limiting beliefs are on you and what they're afraid of. And then all of a sudden you're questioning yourself and you're like, well, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
No, I planned it out. But yes, and that has a really, that can really slow down what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to show up authentically. So that can be super frustrating.
And with your history, I know you said that you started a business before. Sorry about this. Did you actually go to prison, or was you expecting?
No. Okay, so I was in an abusive relationship, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, one evening things took a turn for the worst, and we got into an altercation, and I had called, and I was actually the one that was arrested, even though I was not the one that did anything.
Wow.
And so at that point, that was the first time anything had ever happened. And so I was facing 9 years in jail. I was in jail for one night, but I was never in prison, but I was facing 9 years in prison. So luckily with some of my close coworkers and people who wrote letters, I was able to go on probation and that had a deferred sentence. But in that time, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go back and teach. So I was going to have to do something else to provide for my daughter and I, because
Mhm.
that was my only choice. So I had moved back in with my parents. I took what I had, which was a camera and a laptop, and I started taking pictures of like flat lays, like styled pictures for different brands for social media or their websites. And that's when I started my business before I did graphic design. So that's how that started. And now I get to help. I've created some online courses because I missed the teaching aspect of
Yeah.
everything, like helping people. That's the only thing I've honestly missed from teaching, was just the connection with someone and seeing them grow, seeing them evolve, and holding them accountable too, of what they want to do. And so that's how it's evolved, how I've evolved to where I am now. So that was 3 years ago.
Wow. That must have been a really scary time.
Yes, it was. And there were a lot of days where honestly getting up, making sure my 6-month-old at the time had everything that she needed, food wise, she was good. We would go for a walk, and sometimes that was the only thing I could muster up for that day. And just besides like breathing and trying to keep my head above water. Luckily, I have a really supportive family, and I moved in with my mom and my dad, and they were able to help me as well. So, but when you go through something like that heavy, we have to be so gentle with ourselves because we want to skip all the pain. We want to skip the scary stuff. And literally in that moment, I couldn't, because you would go to a court date and there would be the next month out would be another court date. So you were in this like waiting period. So I had a choice of either I could be miserable or it as a point of growth. And that's why I started my business. Was so many things were going on around me, but starting something that was my own, even though I didn't know how my court case was going to turn out, I had control over this piece. So controlling what we can and controlling our reactions and our actions and what we do is the only thing that we can do during times like that. So that gave me the skills now. So when I am co-parenting, and if something else comes up, I have a skill set of, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I support myself. And when I was going through that, I hated it when people were like, oh, take care of yourself.
You're like, what? How can I do that?
Yeah, they don't know like what else to say, because I mean, that was a really heavy situation. A lot of people don't go through a lot of that.
Yes,
but we all go through a loss at some point. Loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of a loved one, a loss, right? And people say, take care of yourself. I would get so mad, but I realized it was because I didn't know how to take care of myself, because I wasn't prioritizing myself in the relationship that I had been in, obviously. And so I had to relearn how to take care of myself. And now I can say, I know what I need. I know. So it's really important that we do take care of ourselves and figure out how to do that again as we go through different stages in our lives.
And I agree, especially being compassionate towards yourself, because it can be so easy to start the well, I didn't do, or I shouldn't have done, or that echo you get in your head where
Yeah. So like the victim mindset, because honestly, I could really easily still be in that cycle myself of like, oh, this happened to me and now I can't work, or now this happened to me and I can't do this. But the moment we can step outside of that and start going, okay, yes, this happened to me, but how is this happening for me instead of against me? So for myself, it was I've always wanted to have my own business. I've always wanted to build my own thing. So this was my opportunity. So I took it and I ran.
So tell me about a time when you've achieved a dream that you thought was impossible.
It actually was really recently. I have made a few online courses, and a dream of mine is to help other mothers that have been single moms that have been through similar situations, left a toxic or abusive relationship, trying to get out on their own, trying to support themselves and their kids. And I created a curriculum a year ago, and recently I'm going to be partnering with a nonprofit, and we're creating a program for women to go through my curriculum. We'll teach them what they need to know, and then at the end of the program, hopefully we can help them get a small grant so they can start their business, or a small loan. So it was something that I wrote down 2 years ago, October 19th or October 25th, 2019. I wrote down, I was driving home from Chick-fil-A, the drive-thru restaurant, and I wrote this down in a notebook that I wanted to help single moms become financially.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on a pod. What? The choice of being a parent. What do you want? What, Mia? Look. So I wasn't being rude. She was cool. She started talking to me as you were talking.
It's okay.
That foundation sounds amazing. What foundation is it?
So it's a local women's program. It's called Women of Courage, but we're making a new program. So it's kind of in the beginning stages, but it's just, I think when we have really big goals, or we have something that seems out of reach, writing it down and just listening to, even though if it sounds crazy or silly or whatever it is, when we write it down, it becomes concrete. And then just one day I was like, okay, I need to start giving back. So I Googled out small, or women's outreaches in my city, and got connected with this one. And then after that, I met the director, and she was like, do you have any ideas? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to do this. And then next thing you know, we're starting a new program. So it's just all of those small little steps, but writing it down, taking chances, following the little voices. I call them whispers from the universe of what we should be doing, and they can lead us to things that we never thought were possible. So that is the biggest thing in my life right now, that seemed impossible 2 years ago, that's coming together now.
So is that women that are fleeing domestic abuse, or can it be any? Is it?
It's usually that, or it doesn't have to be physically abusive. It could also be verbally.
I understand.
Abusive, but yes, a lot of them have endured abusive relationships.
Wow, that's so inspiring. Could you send me some information about that afterwards?
Of course, yeah.
I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah.
Because it's something I've been considering as well as I've been building my business. I want to give back to other people. I think it's a good way of doing business, to be honest. I mean, everyone's different. I know not everybody wants to do it that way, but that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's, especially for me, I want to be able to showcase to other women, and I want to break that stereotype of a single mom having to have 2-3 jobs to make ends work. I really truly believe that we can work from home, do something that we like to do, and make enough money at it that we don't have to have 3 jobs or have to search for another relationship to try to get married again, so that we have somebody to support us. So empowering other women that if I can do it with a criminal sentencing situation, you can do it too. So that's my big goal and way I'd love to inspire other women. So
that sounds really, really awesome.
thank you.
Tell me a piece of advice you would like to give our listeners.
Like I said before, if you have a really big idea, just write it down and take little teeny tiny steps every day. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to see I tell my clients all the time, you don't have to see the whole staircase of how you're going to get to your goal. Just take the next step. Take the next stair. Keep going forward. And the more consistent we are with the little steps, the more confidence we're going to build, the more we will believe in ourselves and trust in ourselves. So just keep going. Start somewhat. You just have to start.
Yes.
So that would be the biggest piece of advice I have.
Thank you very much, Ashley, for coming to the podcast.
Yeah.
It's been so lovely having you.
Having me.
And I've enjoyed listening to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Stop recording now.